Hi guys, this is just a quick update on what I've been doing programming wise. To be honest, we're getting towards the end of the period where I can just do anything I want. A lot will depend on what happens next week, you know, when freelance work starts to pick up hopefully, and I'll be back in work and just being able to spend entire days learning programming. That'll come to an end, so it's a bit of a shame in a way, but I'm lucky that I had, 3 or 4 months of being able to, indulge myself with it. But I'll just give an update on the virus propagation simulator. I'm afraid it's still not quite ready for a source release because there's just 3 or 4 little bits that need a little bit more finishing. But there's no point in releasing the source at the moment because it's going to change. So I'll just show you where it stands at the moment. I've added a few new features that just need a bit of finishing off, but it's pretty much doesn't look that much different. I mean, I've added some graphical improvements, like there's infection lines now, so you can see, you can get an idea of which ones are the infectors. It draws a little black line, I don't know if you can make it out there, when a blob has infected other blobs. But so I've added a few graphical improvements to it like that. Some nice things, but I'll take you through the headline features now, and hope you'll appreciate why I haven't quite been able to finish it. That's speeding it up now. You can see that goes through quite quickly because I've improved the collision engine now. It seems I was doing it in a daft way before, where I was checking for collisions between every single object with every other object, and there's no need to do that really. There's a way of breaking it down into squares, and when I do the source code release, if you're interested in how I sped it up, then it'll be in there, and it's fairly easy to understand, but it just breaks everything down into squares. I think at the moment it's got 20 by 20 squares making up the screen, and it just does the collisions within these squares, and there might be some scope for making it even faster. But to give you an idea, let's see, there's another little improvement I've made. You've got a separate settings dialog now, just make it a bit easier to use. So click apply, and then we need to get the blob size down. You can see I've just put in 10,000 blobs, so that's 10,000 actors in the simulation. Now switch the grid off. So here we go. We'll just actually, to make it look a bit more interesting, let's go back in and then let's just take them all off. Just take them all off lockdown, and then sure enough, I'll take the health bars off. You can see that it can just about cope with 10,000. It's down to about half the frame rate with 10,000, but if we use multi-threading, you can see it can actually go faster than full frame rate with 10,000, and it is calculating in exactly the same way, with the same accuracy, so it can handle 10,000 fairly easy. I mean, I've not actually pushed it to the limits, and as I say, there may be some techniques I can use to speed it up all the more by subdividing the the areas into even smaller areas for the collisions, particularly because internally it works to quite a high precision, higher than the screen resolution. So there's that. Let's have a look. Let's take it back down to more normal. But you see, before it was starting to slow down at 300 or 400 blobs. Let's take it up to 14 again. There we go. We'll do something like that, and then let me just look at my notes for a minute. Oh yeah, in the I'm not quite sure where this is going to go, and I dare say there's some room for improvement here. But let's switch on clustering. So now when it generates them, it puts them in these clusters, and there's a couple of different sorting modes. But with this way round, you can see these ones have got small health bars. So it puts the ones with low, it's just sorting them by order of their health. So you've got these small ones. So you've got the ones with low health. They're near the beginning, and then gradually the healthier ones down towards the bottom in those clusters. But it means that as soon as an infection takes over, then you're going to cause some deaths around there. But that's one sorting mode. I think for the moment we've maybe got to go into the code to use different sorting modes. Let's put more of them on lockdown though. Let's say 75% in lockdown, and then just start it again. There we go. So yeah, at the moment I need to make this a switchable thing, but at the moment the ones with lower health move less than the ones with high health. But I'm going to make that a switchable parameter in the user interface. I've reintroduced, it's a little bit clunky, but let's put some numbers on things. So there's one that's 108 there. Let's just freeze it for a second and say we want to follow blob 108. We can do that in the user interface now. You can see all of this is pre-alpha, so you can see some of the parameters are listed more than once. But it's hanging on there, that one. It's the starting health was 21, current health is 21, but it hasn't had an infection yet. But as soon as anything touches these clusters of low health ones, then that's the end of the simulation with quite a lot of deaths, because as soon as these clusters got an infection, then they died out. So this is another feature I added. So before I showed you how it can export the timeline as a CSV file. Well, now it can export the details about all the individual blobs as a CSV file. I've not exposed all of the variables yet, but I'll keep adding to it. Here we go, just import that. Right, so you could sort of sort these in different ways. So if we say dead, let's sort by dead. Okay, so that puts so dead false. But once we start getting onto the dead true, you can start working out what the factors are that increase the likelihood of dying. Let me just freeze. Where is it? Freeze. First row. Yeah. So we can see when we get down here, dead true. So you can start seeing what the characteristics actually are. You know, for the risk factors, you know, when they were infected, that sort of thing. I dare say for serious analysis, I'll probably have to add more features to the simulator for that to be truly useful. But it's sort of interesting. You know, I would like to put something, you know, I should record the starting positions really, shouldn't I, so that you can see when they're infected. But there's quite a lot of statistics it does gather that just aren't exposed at the moment. Okay, and then the other feature that I've added is not it's not working yet, unfortunately, but can you see these are subdivided into two halves? Because I wanted to experiment with more than one strain of the virus being in the environment, because I think that's a possibility. There's a little feature for really sort of taxing simulations. You can add some frame skip now. It's still a little bit buggy. There we go. But nearly all of the routines had to be changed to add multiple viruses. So what you can add frame skip, just make it a bit jerky, so less processor time's being spent on drawing the graphics. Yeah, I mean, if I end up having a lot more time to work on this, I'm hoping maybe this week I might be going back to work, and I'm afraid that'll be the end of teaching myself programming, you know, intensively. But more deaths, many more deaths, because that's the idea, that if you've got two strains at once, you're in a lot of trouble. But a lot of the code doesn't actually work properly, and these figures are largely nonsense at the moment. It just doesn't seem to work properly. But I'll get it working eventually. Let me just look through my list of... so yeah, it's got a settings dialog now, rather than obviously with multiple viruses, it you can have different characteristics, and there is a saving and loading mechanism. It's not really finished, but it does work to an extent. It can save and load these as human readable. But so you've got 5 viruses there, and you can give them all different characteristics. So one of them has an infection length of 60. You can make it so that it does less daily damage, etc. That kind of thing. But I think I might do away with that. I'm not sure. We'll just see how difficult it is to maintain, because now that I've got more space on screen because of the separate dialogues for viruses, and you see it's unfinished still, but I've got separate dialogues for viruses and then the simulator settings. Then it's not as important that those text files be human readable, but with the extra speed I've got now, it would be possible. Let's just try, I don't think I've ever tried, let's try 10,000. 1, 2, 3, that's 1,000, so 10,000 blobs, take down the size to 4. Here we go. Oh, it's got the letter L there, spoiling it. But let's try that, but with clustering, so you can decide how many clusters. Let's take it down to 20 clusters. Here we go, 20 clusters. Yeah, I'll probably need to work on the spacing a little bit more. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. It can run and produce figures. Let's take it up to full speed. The clustering code, I dare say it's a... Ah, wait a minute, it's because I've got numbers on, that's why it looks so weird. So there we go, we've got these different clusters, and I'll get a bit more speed out of it just by slowing it, just by adding more frame skips. So I would say, looking at it, that the infection got in there. Yeah, anywhere where it's red. Oh dear, with them being so cramped up. So because it sorts them in order of health, these ones are done for. Or sudden drop off as everyone became immune at the same time. But you see, it's fairly easy to add a headless mode to this, so you can actually script it and then run it without the graphics, and then just get the output as a CSV file. So then you could, I can maybe add facilities so you could just change one variable and say run it 100 times or something like that. But it's got to the end now, and never infected 11, that's 0.11%. And the high infection level, it got to 99.42%, and total dead 14%. Scary stuff. Let's just go through everything. Lots little graphical improvements, follow blob, gene, and then internally, I wish I could start it again from scratch, but I haven't got time now. In my last, it might be in my last week of being able to work on it. So everything's in its own little files now. Let's see. So finally, all the blob code with the behavior code for the blobs. That's in it, and the drawing code as well. That's in its own little file now, making it a lot easier to work on. But if I just go down here, these are all the variable. These are all the variable declarations. So you maybe get an idea of, you know, practically everything had to be rewritten just to handle multiple viruses. But you know, it's coming along. Hopefully that'll be finished in the next couple of days. And the core of it is actually in and working. So it might be another week or two before I can release the source and do an actual release of the program for just people, you know, who are interested in this kind of thing to have a play around with. You know, let's just change something. It's something you've still got to change in the code, but I mean, it's just creating the user interface has turned out to be an absolutely massive time sink. So it takes absolutely ages. It takes absolutely ages to add anything. Let's see. Cluster by health equals true. Let's just set that to false. And then cluster by numbers equals true. I presume that code still works. That's how it did it eventually. But it's sort of meaningless in a way. Let's see. But let's just go in, clustering. Let's say 20 clusters. There we go. But they're just randomly distributed now in terms of their health starting point. So as I say, it now just draws a little line through a blob when it's infected someone else. Yeah. So anyway, so I think that's all the features I've added, and quite a lot of internal improvements you won't see. So hopefully this week or next week I'll be able to make a release.